Kyle, it's great to be talking to you. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you? Sorry, just turning my audio up.
No
There we go.
worries. Um, Congratulations on winning Survivor. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling incredible. It was just so cool to watch that back. Obviously, I've been waiting months to see it on TV. But I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful. And yeah, it was just such an awesome time.
Now, what might be an even better title than winning Survivor, being the sole survivor? How do you feel about being the best average guy?
I feel great about it. I think I represented the average men and women out there very well. I was well rounded and I said as much at Final Tribal, but I thought that I was like checking boxes in a very nuanced way that I'm proud of.
Now, when you went into Final Tribal, did you feel you had the momentum? What was your feeling going in?
I thought that the challenge win gave me a little bit more momentum. I think it was more important defensively because, once records start to get into play with Joe, words like that start flying around. I'm a lawyer in real life. I know buzzwords can intrigue juries. So I was worried about that. So the challenge gave me momentum. At the same time, I was very, very scared of Joe and Eva as players. And while I felt strongly about my game, I also am aware of the game that they played. And so it was an odd position to be in.
Now, do you think the big reveal you had at Tribal that, it was you and Camilla who pushed Shaheen out, do you think that kind of tilted things in your favor?
I definitely do in this way. I wasn't going out there to make moves to make moves. I wanted everything to be intentional. And I was proud of the game that I had played up until the point of like getting to the mid-words. I'm like, I played idols. I played an idol. I've won a challenge. I'm in the majority alliance. A lot of the people in the minority think I'm with them. I have a secret alliance. But like at the same time, everybody on their way out of the door was telling me that I didn't have a shot to win. And I'm like, what more do I need to do? So, in a lot of ways, the Shaheen vote was sort of like this concrete piece of evidence to be like, no, 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 like, look, like, I've been playing this game hard. And I was managing more relationships than any of you ever had to do. At least that's how I thought.
Right.
So I was it felt like a turning point in being able to bring that up, but also to explain why it made sense and what I was doing.
Now, one of the keys to you coming out on top was the fact that you had this secret alliance with Camilla. Now, people out there knew you were friends, but they didn't know how close you were working together. Were there any moments throughout that entire run that you were like scared or worried that that was going to come out? Were there any moments that really put the pressure on you?
It's so interesting because at the beginning of the game, David was actually my number one for quite some time. David and I were working hand in hand together. We had an incredible relationship and we were in that See Before alliance. So Camille and I were working with one another with respect to the See Before alliance. As the game progressed, obviously we got tribe swapped together. And
Right.
that's when we realized, oh my gosh, we click off of each other very, very well and very naturally. And then the David vote was actually a critical turning point because in a lot of ways they made it look like a decision between Chrissy and Camilla, but from my perspective, it was like a David versus Camilla thing for me with
Right.
respect to my game. And that was the point that I was very scared about it. But I also, it's in the funny way, like I was scared of this relationship getting uncovered that the See Before people knew about. And in a weird way, that was ultimately what made Camilla and I the closest, if you go back and look at that episode.
Now, what's really interesting, and I've been watching Survivor since the beginning, covered it since the beginning, is that when you and Camilla got to the end, you actually told each other, look, under no circumstances can I be sitting beside you. We've rarely seen that on Survivor where people are that open and honest with each other. How did that conversation go? And were there any surprises about it?
There was a lot of surprises. Camille and I's relationship was awesome. We were able to trust each other. And in a funny way, I think that like Camilla is probably one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous person on that island strategically. And so to trust somebody unequivocally who's that dangerous is a scary thing. Um, but with respect to our relationship, we played a game that we were both very proud of. We had conversations out there about everything that we had done from start to finish. And we knew that the only way one of us could win is if we weren't sitting next to one another. Maybe there's a chance, but it's not the chance that we wanted to take. One of us needed to represent the game that we played, and I'm happy that it was me. But things can can turn. Things could have been different. And I'm glad that she gave me the license to say that and do that. And she would have definitely done it to me too. Don't worry.
Well, here's another surprising thing is that I was made aware of today. I was talking to Eva, and she actually said it wasn't shown on the episode, but you actually went up to her and were willing to take her place in the fire making challenge. Again, putting yourself in and your game at risk. Let us know what thinking went into that and how you came to that judgment. I mean, obviously, eventually she said, "Hey, no thanks," but what pushed you to that extreme that you were going to put yourself on the line in your game?
Yeah, Eva and I had an extremely close relationship. People talk about me and Camilla, and me and Camilla had a strategic relationship. Camilla and I talked maybe for 45 seconds to a minute a day in like spurts. Um, but Eva and I had a very close personal relationship, if not maybe the closest to me out there personally.
Right.
Joe, Joe, maybe a close second. It could flip-flop between either of them. Um, and so to see her in pain like that was incredibly difficult.
Mhm.
At the same time, like even I had conversations about like th everything about her is a superpower. And what she overcomes and what she deals with and how she goes about her life is one of the most impressive things that I've ever seen. And I learned from her as a sister every single day. But I knew I went up and she was never gonna never gonna let me do fire. The moment I told her that she was doing fire, it was hers. And I don't think people will quite fully grasp just how strong. Well, maybe no, people will grasp how strong she is, but she was never gonna let me do it, and I think she made the right decision too.
Yeah, I mean, when I was talking to her, she even referred to you as her brother, and she talked about all the goofing around you guys did
Yeah.
off the cameras and stuff. So yeah, she shares the same feelings as you do. I know you've had a little bit of time to think about it, but have you had the money earmarked for anything?
You know, I had a lot of student loans. You go to law school, you think like, oh, I'm a lawyer now, you make a bunch of money. That's not how it goes down. You're actually in a lot of debt. And
Yeah,
so I'm really happy that I get to sort of pay a lot of that down. I got
right.
married a month and a half after the game. I fit in my tux, don't
Congratulations.
worry. But the way that I look at that money is just like a contribution to this partnership that I'm like in now and fortunate to have. My wife Maggie and I like get this like who gets to get married and then see yourself win Survivor. And that's just as much her win as it is mine.
Well, I gotta say, some of the others have talked about going to your wedding. They had a great time. So congratulations on that. That's wonderful to be such good news in such a short period of time. One of the biggest things too about this season is we've seen, especially in the new era of Survivor, that players like yourself, like Eva, like Joe, those who are good at the challenges or excel at that, get targeted and they get taken out. What was it like to with Jocks for us to kind of take that narrative, spin it, and you guys all collaborated and protected yourselves and moved each other ahead of the game with such loyalty.
Yeah, I mean, it was the perfect storm in a lot of ways.
Right,
Because people do look at us as shields. Um, and like, the word strong was used in a lot of ways for like descriptors as to alliance. But I think that like if you really look at Joe and Eva and you look at David and Mary and the people who were in this sort of strong Shaheen, obviously,
right,
like we were multifaceted. Like we were strong players outside of just like physicality.
right,
And like Joe was the most likable guy on that island. Like, I again like had conversations with him that I never had in my entire life.
right.
And so to be able to protect one another, um, is exactly kind of what you want to do. Like, you mean to tell me that we get together with a group of people that we like and protect one another and go to the end of the game and like I can trust that they're not going to write my name down. Sign me up, like literally sign me up, and I'll do it again. And I'm really glad that that alliance shook out the way it did, and I think it allowed me to advance in the game too.
Now, obviously, I asked this of all the survivors over the years, but we don't get to see everything about your journey because, again, editing and time. Is there anything about your journey, whether it was, maybe a personal moment with someone, maybe it was a strategic moment? Is there anything about your journey that you wish fans would have been able to see?
Um, we talked at length already about my relationship with Eva and Joe. I think that was a fun contrast to Camilla. I also had a very close relationship and we talked about David. I had a very close relationship with Mitch.
Right.
My first day was very rough, and like I was way harder on myself than I think I should have been, but I was in a really like I was in a hole. And that first night, like Mitch and I just talked for hours. And then the next night we talked for hours and I learned about his life and like who he is as a person. And it really kind of like brought me back to life in the game. And Mitch and I's relationship throughout the remainder of the game was like very important, like emotionally and strategically. Such a good friend to me and such a good player too.
Now, you give yourself a lot of credit for this, and I like to say you're no different than anybody else. We all fuck up, we all make mistakes, we all have bad judgment sometimes in our lives. You were open about what has happened in your life and how you were able to turn things around. What would you say to someone who's at the same crossroads you were, who wasn't maybe in the same situation as you? What advice would you give them? Because obviously you've gone from turning your life around from that perhaps going down the wrong road, and now you're the winner of Survivor.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the it's leaning on people.
Right.
Um, people think about incarceration, they think about they like hear these things and they think it's like you're with people who are awful or these like all these negative stereotypes. But in reality, like, you spend 30 days in jail and it costs tons of money to even make one phone call to call a loved one. You lean on the people that are around you. You build relationships just like you do in Survivor in a lot of ways. And that's exactly what I did. So like if you're down and out, or maybe you've made a mistake, or maybe like you've been treated a little bit harsher because of the mistakes you've made than other people, at the end of the day, you have to have hope and you have to lean on the people around you and like be willing to like accept help. Because that's what allows you to move forward. And I think ironically that happened for me in the game and it's happened for me in life too.